So it's all for play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
I could murder technology, Paddy. I could murder it at this moment in time. If I had technology in front of me, I would murder it, whatever it is.
Just wait your 30 seconds before you start with the expletives.
I didn't do any expletives. See, there's a reason why the intro is 26 seconds. A lot of people say this intro is too long. Yeah, your intro is too long and everything like that. And I see, look, you can never legislate for what comes out of our mouths when that intro music stops. So that's why it's 26 seconds for a reason, because at least gives us 4 seconds to say, welcome everybody to For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast. We're here today to talk to you about Ipswich versus Aston Villa and the pre-match preview. Fuck, bollocks, fuck. That's so sorry for anybody who's listening to the podcast in the commute tomorrow morning for that. But yeah, sorry we're late. And the irony of the fact that I have on the thumbnail of Amadou Onana pointing to a watch in his hand, and then we're nearly 15 minutes late doesn't exactly help. But I hope you guys will understand. For whatever reason, the streaming software we use here would not allow me to select a camera or an output microphone. And I don't even know if my output microphone is set correctly now. So I'm just going to check. Yes, it is.
It seems good.
Brilliant. Yeah, it seems grand actually. But the browser, yeah, there's bits and pieces that are missing here. So anyway, long and the short of it, I hope that Aston Villa don't come a cropper like I did there for the last 13 minutes at the weekend on Sunday when they play Ipswich. 2:00 kickoff, Paddy, on a Sunday. I suppose let's talk about the kickoff time. Like, why would the Premier League put this one on a Sunday, I wonder? You know, considering we're playing Bayern next week.
Who knows? A lot of the stuff they do, there's no logic for it. Look, I suppose it's a sign that we've finished in the top four, that people want us to be live on the telly. People who are living in this part of the world will be very happy that they can watch it unopposed instead of having to go and find a totally legal stream from somewhere to watch the bloody thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it doesn't suit me because I've a weekend away with my parents this weekend, would you believe? Yeah, so I'm hoping I get to see the match on Sunday, but I doubt very much I'll get on to do any team sheet tantrums or anything like that. But we'll see how it goes.
I have my daughter has a 3-year-old birthday party
Nice.
with the bouncy castles this weekend, so I will be around, I think, for that. I think I'm going to do my penance tomorrow instead of Sunday, so that I can get back for the game. But yeah, look, Ipswich away. Ipswich obviously not being in the it is Ipswich versus Villa is a 90s top league classic. Yeah, whenever I will never not see the Ipswich logo and not think of George Burnley. I will never, ever, ever not see it and not think of him and John Wark. They're the two people that immediately...
Marcus Stewart is the one that sticks out for me.
Marcus Stewart, yeah. There's I have a story about Marcus Stewart, not my story about Marcus Stewart, but one of my mates owes Marcus Stewart 25,000 old Irish punts worth of thanks for a super season that Marcus Stewart had for Ipswich in the Sun Dream Team competition.
That's the one he told at the live podcast. It was it?
It is. Yeah. It is.
Isn't Ipswich where Luke Nillis came a cropper?
No, Chelsea. Was it not Chelsea?
Oh, Chelsea got the goal.
Sorry, you're right. Chelsea was the goal. Ipswich it was. Was it not Richard Wright? Did Richard Wright come out and... Yeah, I think it was Richard Wright that did it. That might have been the last time we played him in the top flight, Paddy.
Well, I tell you, it was the last time Luke Linus ever played anyway, that's for sure. I don't think they've been back. I don't remember whether they played further on after that. That will be one that is etched in my brain of what might have been if we'd have had Luke Nillis in the form that he was in for that season. But we'll never know. I wonder how he is these days.
Yeah, maybe we'll try and get him on the podcast and talk about it. But yeah, absolutely sparkling footballer, as I say, and he did come a cropper against Ipswich. And I think Villa played. I read a statistic this morning as well. Well, obviously you would think this, I suppose, from the Ipswich team, considering the upheaval that they've had over the last few years. I suppose reinventing themselves. But Villa last playing Ipswich, and obviously what I said the last time we played them in the Premier League earlier, but Villa played Ipswich in the Championship, as we well know. I think it was 2018, 2019, when they played Ipswich, and John McGinn will be the only survivor from that last time that they played. I don't expect Tyrone Mings to be playing at the weekend, but yeah, somebody had up on Twitter today, John McGinn will be the only survivor, and he won't even be playing this weekend, so there'll be no survivor from that game playing this weekend against in the Ipswich Villa battle from 5 years ago in the Championship. But yeah, historical fixtures week. Ipswich are rivals in the title win, and Bayern in Europe as well. Yeah, absolutely. There's isn't there an awful lot of serendipitous stuff that's happening in and around Gary Shaw at the moment? There really is, since he passed away, there's an awful lot. And look, it's one of those things that, and I don't want to trivialize deaths, and certainly I'm not trivializing Gary Shaw's death at all. So please don't anybody take it this way. But it's like when you buy a new car, and then all of a sudden, as you're driving down, you see there's a paradoxical effect on the psychology about that. I can't remember what it's called, but it's as you're driving down the road, you see all the same cars, and you're like, "Geez, there's so many of those on the road," because you're looking out for them. And maybe that's the way it is at the moment. But there's a lot of 8s and a lot of 41s and stuff like that coming up recently, and it's all those little things that are tending to happen in and around the same time. Obviously, Ipswich and Bayern Munich coming up during the week. So yeah, a lot of serendipitous stuff there. And yes, I did just really want to use the word serendipitous when I was that's the only reason I said it a second time, because I really wanted to use it again. Trips off the tongue, I think. It really, really does. Paddy,
7 minutes in, are we going to talk about this game?
Nah, forget it. Look, one of the biggest things, I suppose, one of the biggest conversations as well is every single year now, it seems to be that since doing a Fulham became doing a Villa, and Villa actually stayed up, it seems that every single team, there's one team that gets promoted now that just goes, all right, let's restock the shelves with as many players as we possibly can. And that was Ipswich this year, Paddy. And I'm going to be really honest, I haven't watched one Ipswich game since they came up. Sorry, I haven't watched one Ipswich game live since they've come up. But I've seen highlights of some of their games. But talk to me about it. Have you seen them? Have you seen any of their games so far since they've been promoted?
I remember being in Turkey, ducking from what was an horrendously hot day in for a cold beer, watching them play Liverpool on the first day of the season, and thinking, oh, these aren't too bad. And then they fell away, and they were struggling to hang on there. But yeah, 2 quick fire goals from Liverpool put pay to that. But yeah, look, they're not the finished article by any stretch of the imagination. Will they stay up? I probably think they have the best chance of what came up to stay up. From what I've seen. They lost their opening games, but talk about a bad start. Liverpool at home and Man City away, and then to go and knocked out of the EFL Cup by Wimbledon on penalties. Didn't put a great start to the season, but then they went and they've drawn their last 3 games against Fulham, Brighton, and last weekend against Southampton. So, it's the first Premier League season ever, or first top flight season ever, that the bottom 6 haven't won a game after 5 games. But in fairness to them, they've got a result in 3 games. So it's not a bad start by any stretch of the imagination. If you're averaging a point a game, you're going to stay up more than likely.
Yeah.
So if they can keep that up, they'll be all right. But I would imagine they will come a cropper this weekend to us, barring a catastrophe on our behalf. And you just never know what can happen. A bad decision, a red card, a stupid tackle. You just don't know. But barring that, I don't see any reason why they would turn us over this weekend.
Well, they've brought in a lot of players, like, and a lot of a lot of players that have Premier League experience, and other guys they've kind of rolled the dice on. They're big. It's a funny one because their bigger purchases have been guys that they've really kind of rolled the dice on. The likes of Omari Hutchinson. Yes, I know he played with them last year, so rolling the dice is unfair on him. Like 23.5 million euros coming in there, right winger from Chelsea. Jacob Greaves, somebody who I've done a podcast on before because I thought that he's a really good left-sided centre back from Hull for 20 odd million pounds. They brought in Liam Delap, Rory's son. Came in there for about in and around 15-16 million pounds as well. From obviously he'd been with Hull last year. Yeah, they bought him. Jack Clark then came in, former Leeds prodigy, went off and didn't he join Spurs and then went on to Sunderland? They brought him in for about 15 odd million pounds as well. Darragh O'Shea, who we know, Irish international, 14 million euros. Sammy Smodics as well, 10 million euros. Arnett Muric from Burnley for the ones at 10 million euros as well. Chido Ogbene, they seem to like half the team is Irish at the moment. He's in there for 9.5 million euros. And then they went and they brought in a small bit of experience with Ben Johnson. I thought Ben Johnson, a free transfer from West Ham, was one of the stranger transfers of the whole off-season. Was Ben Johnson going on a free transfer to Ipswich? And then Calvin Phillips comes in then as defensive midfielder to be, I suppose, really he's just going to be some sort of defensive midfielder consultant. I don't expect him to play more than 20 games for them this season, but he comes in on loan as well. So yeah, look, it's really interesting, I suppose, from the point of view of like once again we have another team who's gone and spent money on players. Last year it was who was it last year? Last year it was Burnley, and they spent it all on young players from outside the league. The year previously it was Forest the year before who went and spent it on pretty experienced players, bringing in good players, a different range of ages, so I wonder how this one works out. They've rolled the dice. They've bought young players that have been good championship players and are trying to elevate them into the Premier League, and it's going to be interesting to see. I'd imagine they're going to hit on some of them, but they're going to really need a lot from some of their more experienced players to see what they can do. And we've actually I won't say unbeknownst to ourselves because the commentators mentioned it a couple of times, but we've actually played against a former Ipswich player who's out on loan at Wickham, played against them 2 nights ago as well, so, and Cameron Humphreys. So maybe they've maybe whoever's marking him burnt his ear to see what Kieran McKenna's setup was like. So I don't know, but yeah, it's an interesting one. It's going to be one of the more interesting games I think for a lot of eyes over the course of this weekend, because people are expecting this Ipswich Town team to either sink or swim, and they're going to get a result at some stage. And I just hope it's not at this weekend against Villa.
Yeah, I'm not completely dismissing them because God knows what the atmosphere will be like for them at home, but you'd have to think we have the quality there to trouble them, especially in the final third of the pitch. Our old full-back, centre-back, whatever he was at the time, Axel Tuanzebe, will be there.
He's there.
What do you make of the goalkeeper, Muric, from Burnley?
Like it's funny. It's hard to know. I've never seen him in a stable setup, if that makes sense. Like Burnley last year was. Burnley last year was a big experiment from Vincent Kompany, and off the back of it, he's going to be playing. He got the Bayern Munich job, which I'm still going to say I'm surprised with. He's doing fantastic with Munich at the moment, but I would expect him to do fantastic in that league, with what he has. But I've no reason to say that Muric is poor. Put it that way. I don't know. I've not seen him in a stable environment. So it'd be interesting to see what he's like.
He did very well for them for Burnley in the Championship the year they went up.
Yeah.
But only managed 14 games last year in a season where he mixed a lot of the team up from time to time, and I don't think he was completely sure what his best team was.
No, and ultimately started off and he was ride or die with James Trafford, and then he wasn't, and then obviously then it was Muric came in, and it was, as I say, for a lot of what a lot of the good, the perceived good that Vincent Kompany did in sticking to his guns, he did mix and match it an awful lot. And look, a lot of players have gotten good moves off the back of it. Trafford will be off in January, I would imagine. Looks like he's going to go to Newcastle if he hasn't signed there already. I can't remember if they actually signed him. And your man Audebert is gone to Spurs and starting for Spurs. So he obviously did some good there, but I'll just be interested to see him now when he is the main man at Ipswich, see what he's like. For me, one of the players that I like watching when I play when Ipswich plays Leif Davis at left back. I think he's a fine left back there. Signed from Ipswich, if I'm not mistaken. He's about 24 years of age. Just a good player. You know, just a good player there, left back position. Be playing there alongside Jacob Reeves, who's been good enough, I suppose, for them. But like, it kind of says it all in a way when their best player so far this season, arguably, has been Darragh O'Shea at centre half. And we know from watching Darragh O'Shea, and once again, no slighting him, we're just telling people what we see. We've seen Darragh O'Shea play for Ireland, and you know, he's solid to mediocre at best, and he has a rick in him at times, you know. But I think Darragh O'Shea in about 3 years' time, like he's not the oldest player in the world. Darragh O'Shea is he's only 25 years of age. Like I could see him ironing the kinks out of his game even at 25 years of age, but he's arguably been their standout player so far, and he's playing centre half. So hopefully he doesn't have a standout performance against us at the weekend.
Yeah, I'm expecting a lot from Sammy Smodics as well, who I watched closely over the last few years because he's been on the periphery of being called up for Ireland and eventually was called up for Ireland. Brilliant player in the championship for Blackburn, and it's a big move and a big step up to the Premier League, obviously. So it'll be interesting to see how he fares out against a top side. He was largely ineffective in the game I watched against Liverpool, but. Yeah, there's big hope for him, and there's no reason why he can't go there and tear up trees and have a really good season.
And another Aston Villa link, one of their obviously Calvin Phillips is doubtful for the game. Calvin Phillips at this stage is doubtful for every single game. As I say, he's been signed as a defensive midfielder. I'd imagine he's a defensive midfielder consultant, but they have a gentleman playing for him. He's 30 years of age. Janoi Donacien, former Aston Villa graduate, came through the academy at Villa. He's still there. He's definitely out and will not play. But I just wanted to bring that up as he is somebody who in 2020 or 2014, I'd say 13 or 14, on my football manager save, I turned him into £100 million player. So
wasn't he one of the next gen team?
Yeah, I think he was. Yeah. I think I'm actually googling him here now. He definitely made the bench for Villa a couple of times, and there was high hopes for him. And then he was sold. Yeah, I'm looking at it here. He was sold in 2016. In 2016, he was sold to Accrington Stanley.
Who were they?
So Accrington Stanley, and then he went on loan to Ipswich Town. Now, he signed at Ipswich in 2019. He's played 97 games for them, and he's 3 caps for St. Lucia in the in international football as well. But he played 3 games for Ipswich in the Championship last season. But he was a stalwart in their League One seasons. But yeah, as I say, the journey up through the leagues seems to have seen him fall victim of I suppose the rapid rise. So he's somebody we won't be seeing anyway because he's injured. But Paddy, our own injuries, do we expect to see any of our own injuries back? Like obviously Diego Carlos, there's going to be a big question mark over him. He's going to be someone I'll be looking out for in Unai Emery's press conference tomorrow, as will I be looking out about Matty Cash and Luca Dean, as will I be looking out for info on Tyrone Mings and Boubacar Kamara, albeit I don't expect to see the two of those. But Luca Dean, Matty Cash, Diego Carlos, I kind of need 2 of the 3 of them to be fit at the weekend. Yeah.
Did they say that Luca Dean had an injury? Or was it tactical to take him off? Because I think they said I remember he bounced back down the tunnel after half time before the team did. To me, that was a sign he was letting us know that he was okay and he was fit and raring to go. But I didn't see anything in the, like, he did take a heavy challenge in the game, but other than that, I didn't notice any noticeable hobbling or limping. But I would expect that he was certainly going to be left out during the week anyway. So
I thought at the time it might have been something to do with his shoulder. Remember, he dislocated his shoulder twice in the last 2 seasons. I thought maybe it might have been. So, I don't know why. That's what I just assumed. I mean, because obviously it didn't look like there was any leg injury. I just assumed because he went right up into the air and then he came down hard, and I just assumed there was some tweak of an upper body piece, but I don't know. Somebody did mention that he was injured or there was something. That's why he was taken off. But he's down on who scored anyways. Be doubtful. So who knows? I'm sure it'll come out in the press conference tomorrow. I'm sure it will.
Yeah. Don't expect to see Cash back. Think it might be a little bit too early. We did see him back on the grass at the back end of last week. Normally, when you're back on grass after a hamstring, you're looking at 10 days to a week or to 2 weeks.
Maybe.
So probably too early to think about him for Bayern. But definitely back for Man U, maybe.
Yeah, well, he said he wants to be back for Bayern, so I don't know. To be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised if he was fit. I wouldn't be surprised if he was fit for this game.
He made the effort of putting a picture of himself back on the grass, letting people know that he was training fully. So you never know.
Yeah, because I think Unai Emery will be. I think he'll be stroking his chin rather hard, as he does when he's in pensive mood. In the days coming up to Bayern Munich about Bogard and Nedeljkovic being right backs if Matty Cash isn't there. And look, he very well will probably be in that situation. Look, I know us as fans think people have their opinions on Bogard and Nedeljkovic. I feel like I'm talking about it in every podcast now, and that's fine. I'm not saying anyone's right. I'm not saying anyone's wrong. Anybody can have their opinion, just like I can and just like you can, Paddy. But you know, a lot of people have opinions on Matty Cash as well. It seems to be it's always more or less seemed to be a kind of I won't say a toxic position, but a position that Villa as a club and the fans separately never really seemed to be a really 100% happy for a concerted period of time with a right back. Like since Mark Delaney, we've rattled through the right backs. You know, we've gone from right back to right back. We might have a good one for a year, 2 years, and then we're searching for another one again, you know, straight after that. And look, I suppose that's symptomatic of nearly every other team in the Premier League outside of the so-called Big Six. But, like, give me a fit Matty Cash at the moment in at right back. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's where I am currently, is give me a fit Matty Cash in at right back. And it just and have the other two boys ready to fight it out for who comes on and who replaces him further on in the year. But so be it whoever he puts in there at the weekend, and so be it whoever he puts in there against Bayern Munich, because there's no one here ever going to say told you so regards to stuff. But it's just trying to see what Aston Villa is in the best place to succeed. And I think a fit Matty Cash just at this point of the season probably gives us that. And I know people won't agree with me on that one, but I think that's that's the conservative choice. It would be the conservative choice for me.
Yeah. No argument there. There's nobody else really, is there, that we're overly concerned about? I think everybody else. Obviously,
Johnny Mack is out.
We have John McGinn, we know is going to be out, and Jadon Philogene is probably going to be out, considering we didn't see him during the week.
I hope someone asks him what the story is there, because coy enough about the illness, coy enough about the injury, and we've heard nothing about this new injury, only that he had a slight tweak, and we've heard nothing about it since. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think there's some questions there need to be answered, and look, we know what he's capable of, so it would be interesting to see if he was fit. Would he start in the absence of John McGinn and Bailey still being on the periphery? Why are people slagging my hair in the comments and calling me Jedward?
No idea. Your hair is the same as it always is. I'm reading it as well and going, I have no idea what's going on.
It must be the angle I'm at or something. I was actually in bed when you messaged me to say I'm having a problem here, and I was like, "Oh shit, we were going to record this podcast tonight."
Yeah.
I don't have any hair anyway.
Yeah. I'm joining that club rapidly at the moment, and if there are any hair replacement clinics that want to sponsor the podcast, I'm not above or below or whatever.
We'll both have a pop off.
Going, yeah, I have no shit. Like, I will definitely take you up on that offer if anybody wants it, because as I've always said before, I'm small and fat. There's very little I can do about being small. I'm not as inclined to do much about my being fat, but Jesus, if I could sort out the male pattern baldness, it'd be fantastic.
Michael wants me to tell them all the F off.
I did have something. Yeah. Oh yeah. Like, yeah. I presume in the build up tomorrow, I presume there will be a lot of questions about will Durant start with Watkins up top, and to me, I think that's the question for the back page of the newspaper. It's not the question. Like, I don't know. Don't let me put words in anybody's mouth here that's listening to the podcast, but I'm not at this. Like, I don't know. Is that the question Villa fans want answered at this moment in time? I think we're all kind of happy with the way things are working out. Watkins starts and Durant comes on and scores goals, and it's kind of working fine at the moment. You know, like I'm not in any rush to see it. Watkins and Durant start together. I'm not in any rush to see it at this moment in time, because if you start doing that, then who do you drop behind them? Like, you dropping Bailey currently? He's not having the greatest season. Are you dropping Ramsey currently? You know, he's been in and out of the team. He's finding his way back to fitness. You're not dropping Morgan Rogers. So what do you do from that aspect? You go to a flat midfield four with Rogers and Bailey and Onana and Tielemans. That's probably the way you work it. Does that? And we've done that in a game so far this season. What do you think about that, Paddy? Is this is this more or less a kind of a fever dream? I think that we're having. Like, the more I think about it, the less likely I think we're going to see it from the start in many games at all this season that we go 4-4-2.
Yeah, like I can't see it. You know, you're not going to get maybe a second leg of a Carabao Cup semi-final or second leg of a Champions League playoff game in February. You might need it, but I think the most important thing here is that Emery manages the expectations of John Duran and manages to keep him in check over the next few months, because we're going to need him. Watkins is going to have off days, and we're going to need him to come in there and change the game. And if he's quite happy to come in every game at 60, 70 minutes and run his nuts off for the last half hour, 20 minutes, I'm all for putting him in that pigeonhole if that's what the media want to do. But he started the other night. He got his goal, albeit a bit fortuitous. But he's been absolutely on fire all season. So, like, I would not like to be managing him as a person when he's in such good form, you know, and it could be a case where he starts him over Watkins this weekend. We just don't know. It could be a case where he says, "Do you know what, Ollie, you take a rest there. I think we're going to win this game with John Duran in from the start." And geez, Neil, it's still going on about me here. Here, look, put up my hood.
Put up your hood, Paddy.
Okay. That'll sort it out. There we go.
No,
I'm ET. Yeah, but look, it could be the day to put him in from the start, and who are we to argue? He's he looked a little bit lost during the week, but with so many changes and so many new faces in there, that was always bound to happen. So he was doing excess work. He was showing up out in the wing. He was showing up very deep looking for the ball, and as a result, there was no one in behind him. I think we alluded to that on Tuesday night. So, look, we'll wait and see. And as we always say, we trust Unai to make that decision. The only thing that does worry me is keeping him in check. So, fingers crossed.
Yeah. Look, I've said my conversation with John Duran will go along the lines like this. John, what are you giving out about? You're coming on. Everyone is talking about you. The whole of Europe is talking about you. You're getting absolutely all the adulation, and you're only having to do 20 minutes worth of work. we'd all love to be in your position. That would be my conversation with John Duran at the moment. I'll be going, listen, you've got it sewn up here. There's no striker under the age of 21 that's getting as much adulation as you at the moment, and you're only having to do a quarter of the work of other strikers who start 90 minutes. So that would be my way of coming across it like that. I would also, because I presume the agent might be talking about what's the story with these minutes, my conversation would be, I'm putting him in the best position he can here to get as many goals while managing his minutes. You know, he still looks raw. Like when he started against Wickham, there was a lot of rawness in him as a centre forward. Like there just is. That's why we call him a chaos agent. You know, and over 90 minutes you can see it. You could see at times when he was fronting up on strikers and stuff like that. You know, the ball was dropping out of the sky to him. He was just looking to get a limb on it. You know, there was a distinct, I thought at times, lack of control in that area. And that's not me having a pop off him. But what I'm saying here is that, you know, when he comes off the bench, and strikers are a bit more tired, and he's only 20 years of age, and he's able to get that ball and have that kind of machismo that he has, and have a shot from the middle of nowhere like he did, and score worldies. You know, Emery is putting him in the best position to succeed. Currently, I think, and the statistics show it. And I know agents will talk about, well, John is the one who's scoring all the goals, and Emery's like, yeah, but you know, I'm putting him in the positions to do that, or the team are putting him in the positions. So I think the conversations are going to be pretty easy, to be honest with you, because, like as I say, scoring goals and winning games cures all the ails, and it cures all the ails people within the team. And I know he's difficult, and he's not your normal kind of. You can't put him in a basket with regards to how he's going to respond to things, but the man looks as happy as I've seen him since he joined Aston Villa, to be honest with you. So I think that's pretty much in hand currently.
Yeah. I have a feeling we're going to have all the same discussions for the next few weeks until, touch wood, we've everyone back to full fitness, and then it's a question of who plays at centre half and who plays at right back, and where does John McGinn come back into this team, and how do we fit Tyrone into this system? It's all the talk is every media outlet that mentions Aston Villa. It's just all John Duran and why is he not starting and blah blah blah. So we'll just have to live with it for the moment. But for now, just hopefully we get through Sunday, 3 points, no more injuries, and as clean a bill as health as we already have heading into a big one on Wednesday as well.
Simon Kenny asked there, do you think any of the young lads against Wickham make enough of a case for being on the bench this Sunday? Yeah, I think Bogart's going to be on the bench. I think if Carlos is out, Sils-Finkels is going to be on the bench. And I think Nedeljkovic is going to be on the bench. I suppose I know what you mean by that. Like, do any of the younger lads make any dent on being in the bench? I don't see it like they're not. I don't think they're going to call up Aidan Borland. Like, even though he's somebody who's gotten a lot of plaudits from that game afterwards. Yeah.
Still a little bit young and raw. I'd agree with you about Bogart. I think Bogart could start. That's just me getting inside Emery's head. He could do it, especially if you say Carlos is out. So, I'm sure he would have probably wanted Carlos for Wednesday if he doesn't have cash. But that's a discussion for Monday or Tuesday evening. We'll worry about that then.
Flynn just got little Paddy Riding Hood. If we and where is it? Mark Wood called you the Paddy the Sith Lord a moment ago. From I did get a bit of Star Wars Sith Lord off you when you pulled the hood up the first time, because it was kind of the way it was falling around your face and everything. I did get a bit of that as well. But
I'm sorry that they're late. They're all slagging my hair, and I completely forgot about the podcast and was in bed and rushed down to get on the podcast, and yeah, so they're slagging my hair, so I had to put up with it.
The Handmaid's Paddy.
What's that?
The Handmaid's Paddy. The Handmaid's Tale. Andy Badger asks, how far off do we think Mings is? I think the easy answer, probably the only answer you have for that is, I hope to find out tomorrow when somebody asks Unai Emery. Like, once again, we've said it before. I hope a lot of the press conferences is about things like, availability of players. There's usually one question and he kind of rattles through it, but I hope I would like to hear follow-up questions on the availability of players, because the salacious stuff of, is salacious the right answer, right word? I think it might be the salacious stuff about the Durant stuff. Look, I know people want to hear about that. I don't think it butters any parsnips for the weekend. We're going to see him at some stage, whether he starts or whether he doesn't. I don't think it's back page news anymore because the man is knocking it out of the park. And some people would say, well, that makes it not back page news. But look, I've had my say on that anyway about what I think Emery's doing and putting him in the best position to succeed. But I think the big questions, and not in a negative way, but I think I'd like to know, is Mings back after the international break? Is that when we're thinking about having him back, or might we see him in the dugout against Bayern Munich? And I think the answer probably lies somewhere in between the two of those. But it's a question I'd like to have answered. And I think that to me holds more water than whether he's going to play Joanna Watkins up top. I think.
Yeah,
for sure.
I still think I still genuinely think he's a few weeks away. So yeah, international break is probably realistic. And who knows, we might see him in those games at the back end of October. And look, we're in no rush, thankfully, at the moment to rush him back in there because we're covered on that left-hand side and we've plenty of cover. So fingers crossed that he is back to full health quickly. And we all love Tyrone Mings. I don't know anybody who doesn't love him since he dropped all those ricks out of his game there. Especially under Unai Emery. So
yeah, and Tyrone Mings been a former Ipswich Town player as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
Hayden says, I think with McGinn out versus Ipswich, you should play Watkins and Duran because I see us having a lot of the ball. That's a good point. That's a good point. But who do you drop? I think is the next question. I know you said McGinn being out, but Leon Bailey is now fit as well, and I don't think Leon Bailey goes on the scrap heap to change the structure of the way the squad has been played over the last 24 odd months since Unai Emery has come in. As I say, I could be wrong, but the reason I struggle with it is it's a whole system change up, and I don't see him doing that prior to Bayern Munich. In a game prior to Bayern Munich, I think if anything, he'll use this as a way to solidify in some areas that we're going to play against Bayern Munich, maybe transitional attacks on the right hand side and left hand side to try and because Ipswich will be. They will attack via their wingers, Murray Hutchinson, Chido Ogbeni as well, and on the other side. So Bayern Munich are going to attack that way too. Now, obviously, Bayern Munich have a three-pronged attack. They go through the middle as well. Yeah, absolutely. But what Villa will try here is probably try and isolate fullbacks and our attackers, try and play in that space between if a winger goes forward and the fullback doesn't provide the right support, because even that happens for the likes of Bayern Munich, even that happens for the likes of Real Madrid. Rarely, but well, actually this season it's been happening quite a lot for Real Madrid. They haven't been having things their own way. So I think he might try out a lot of that. And that's why I'm not down on playing the two of them together, but a lot of the reasoning is you're changing the system for a game against Ipswich when you've got Bayern Munich that you're not going to play two strikers on Wednesday. And I think that the smart money is probably on keeping that formation and utilizing it to try a couple of things out in transition. That's probably. Once again, I'm ultra conservative. Usually I'm the guy who's saying play fucking 5 strikers or something along those lines. But I'm being ultra conservative. I seem, as if I'm managing the team myself. So I don't know. Look,
I think the performance is important given the big week we have ahead. I would like to see Marine Boy suggest there about a clean sheet. I would like to see him get that monkey off his back and get the clean sheet out of the way. Obviously, Joe Gauchi was so close to doing that the other night, which was very disappointing as well. But at least we got the result. The result is obviously the most important thing, but performance, getting the players ready for Wednesday and a clean sheet would be nice.
Palace in the League Cup, Paddy. Let's talk about that. Any have you any opinion on that whatsoever before we finish up the podcast?
Absolutely delighted that it's a home draw and there's more money in the pot for our club. because we all know that we're trying to raise money left, right, and centre. So that's a good thing.
96 quid for tickets, Paddy. 96 quid for League Cup tickets, is it?
25 they announced today, didn't they?
It's only going to be 25. Yeah.
So look, getting a full Villa Park again is obviously good, and well, whether it will be full now is another story. But we'll worry about that in a few weeks' time. But it's a decent fixture in that you can rest a couple of players and still be competitive. It won't be anything of the scale that we did against Wickham the other night, though. It'll be 2 or 3 maybe stepping in the same way Palace will as well, in order to blood a few players or give people some game time. And who knows, that could be Tyrone Mings' return. We'll wait and see.
Yeah, very well, very much so could be, and same with Boubacar Kamara as well. But once again, I hope the questions are asked tomorrow of Unai Emery, our Supreme Overlord and Supreme Master as well. And long may he be such things within this club of great repute and great history that is Aston Villa. I think that's going to do it. I've had some long days this week and last, and once again, I think I finished every podcast by saying I'm going to fall asleep in about 30 seconds if I don't finish this podcast. Then I'm exactly the same way again tonight. So again, thanks a million, everybody. Myself and Paddy had discussed only doing a 15-minute podcast, but it was 7 minutes before we actually got talking about Ipswich, about the Ipswich game at all. We were 13 minutes late because of my tech issues. No, yeah, we were 13 minutes late because of my tech issues, so we're coming up on nearly an hour, and we filled the time anyway for sure. But you know, we did speak beforehand saying, "Geez, we'll probably be another short one tonight, and that'll be like our 4th short one in a row." And you know, I don't like doing short podcasts because I feel like I'm shortchanging people, you know. So we got to the 40-minute mark out of this, and it didn't feel like it was any hassle at all. So thanks a million, everybody, for sticking with us and listening to our. Today was very rambling.
Thanks for all the slagging.
Yeah, but thanks a million for sitting in.
If you came in late and didn't realise that there was another podcast released today on the women's game at the weekend, if you fancy a nice short sweet one that we pre-recorded, obviously it went out at lunchtime today. So and we will do another one at the weekend, and we'll keep going for as long as people want it, and there's an appetite there for it. So give it a listen and let us know what you think.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you won't have to listen to me on the women's podcast as well, which is another reason why you should definitely listen to it, because they're on point, they're structured, and there is no waffly ramble. So that's what you get when I'm not there, structure. So that's a selling point in itself. But all right, and you get him going out in time as well, so that's another thing you get. So listen, look, team sheet tantrum and post match coming up at the weekend, obviously on Sunday. Team game is 2:00 game, so team sheet tantrum will be in and around 12:40 for those of you GMT or Irish and UK time. Post-match podcast then will be around 5 minutes to 4 Irish time and UK time as well. So hopefully you join us for those. And in the meantime, I hope everybody has a super rest of your day wherever you are in the world. Have a great Friday, have a great Saturday, and we'll see you again on Sunday. But in the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy, and all that's left to say is up the Villa.
Up the Villa.